Welcome back to Happily Home Cooking, where we are making our first soup of fall. This chicken and green chili soup is one of our own creations and an instant family favorite. We're keeping things easy using some rotisserie chicken from Costco. Then we'll do a quick roast on some fresh Anaheim peppers to make our own diced green chilies. We'll also be adding a bunch of other delicious fresh veggies to make this a complete meal all in one pot. We'll throw in some bacon along with some simple yet unexpected seasonings to make this delicious soup that is both light and hearty with a great flavor that'll make your family say, mmm. So come hang out in the kitchen with me as we make our creamy chicken and green chili soup. So we'll start things off by making our diced green chilies. These are super simple to make and it'll only cost you about a third of what it would cost to buy a can of diced green chilies from the grocery store. This recipe comes out great with the can though, if that is your preference. So we have 2 fresh Anaheim peppers, which I have washed and placed on a baking sheet. And then I'm just going to move that rack in the oven up to the highest level. We'll pop these peppers into the oven and we are going to broil these on high. Don't go far because they really don't take long at all. Maybe 10 minutes or so for the first side. You'll check on them and once they are nice and dark, we're just going to flip them over and we will get them all browned up on the other side. The second side will not take as long as the first side, maybe 5 minutes or so for that second side. And now that those peppers are nicely roasted, they have that nice dark coloring all over them. Do not worry about the fact that they look a little bit burnt. We are going to be peeling that skin off in a little bit. So before we do that though, we are going to place them into a Ziploc bag. This is going to steam them and help the skin to release from the pepper. So in we go 1 and 2, and we will just zip this bag up and set it aside while we prep the rest of our veggies. So we'll start our chopping with 1 large yellow onion. I often like to do a lot of this easy prep work ahead of time, so as I chop up our veggies, I'm just going to be throwing them into a glass bowl, which then I can just pop into the fridge and it will be ready to go whenever we're ready to cook this up. Less work when it's time to assemble dinner is always a good thing. Next, we will dice 3 large stalks of celery. If you're using those smaller celery heart stalks, you might want to use a few more, maybe 4 or 5. Along with our green Anaheim peppers, I like to use half of a red bell pepper. This adds both nice flavor and color to our soup. We'll also add about 3 to 4 cloves of minced garlic. If you like to use the pre-minced garlic that comes in a jar from the grocery store, which I have done plenty of times, so I'm not judging, you would want to use about 1.5 teaspoons. Use whatever you like, fresh, pre-jarred, whatever. Did you know that garlic is not only delicious, but it actually really has a lot of health benefits, including boosting your immune system, which we can all use, especially going into this fall and winter cold and flu season. So today I'm using a little extra garlic. Alright, so these veggies are all prepped and ready to go. I'm going to throw a lid on this bowl, pop this into the fridge until we're ready to cook. And now that our Anaheim peppers have steamed, we are ready to break these puppies down. First thing we're going to do is peel off the skin, which you can see peels off so easily. Along with the skin, we will also remove the stem and seeds from the inside. I like to just use my hands to wipe off as many of those seeds as possible, and then I kind of flick them into the sink. Super technical method, I know. Give them a quick chop, and there we have our own fresh diced green chilies. These go great in so many different recipes. If you're interested in seeing more recipes that include your own homemade diced green chilies, leave me a comment. Alright, next up we're adding a bit of bacon. We're going to use about half a pound of this bacon. This is a nice thick cut bacon, so that'll be about 5 slices. I'm just going to give this a rough chop into bite-sized pieces. Then when we're ready to start cooking, break out your large soup pot, and we are going to cook up this bacon over a medium to medium high heat, just until it's cooked through and lightly crisped. When it's done cooking, we'll set it aside in a bowl and drain the grease into a separate bowl from our soup pot. Alright, then returning our pot to the stove, I'm going to use about a tablespoon or 2 of this bacon grease to cook up our veggies in. All prepped and ready to go, in they go to the pot. So we're going to cook these over a medium heat for around 10 minutes or so, or until your veggies are the tenderness of your liking. A lot of times I like them to have a little bit of bite still to them. Sometimes when you're cooking for young kids especially, they like them to be softer and not crunchy in the soup. So cook them how you like them. Then once our veggies are tender, we will add 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. We'll stir it in to incorporate it and get it to coat all those veggies. And we'll let this cook for a minute or 2. This will help get rid of the raw flour taste, so we don't taste that in our soup. But this is going to add a nice light thickness and a bit of body to our soup. Alright, then we will be adding 7 cups of water next. I like to add this in gradually, especially at first. Add in a cup or so, start to give it a stir to start dissolving that flour so that it doesn't clump up. Once you have it pretty well dissolved, you got a nice liquid going, you can go ahead and add the rest. Then for the creaminess in our soup, we will add 3 cups of milk. I'm just using 2%, you can use whatever kind of milk you like. This gives our soup a light creaminess without being overly rich. Then for a big kick of flavor, we are going to add 3 tablespoons of chicken bouillon. This is the better than bouillon, which is my preference. Or if you don't like to use bouillon, you could just use chicken broth instead of the water. I like to stir this frequently as I'm adding ingredients just to make sure that that flour does not begin to stick to the bottom of our pot. Next, we'll toss in our fresh diced green chilies. And then continuing to stir frequently, we are going to bring our soup up to a boil. Once it has boiled, we're going to reduce our heat down to a simmer as we add the rest of our ingredients. First up, to add to our creaminess, we are going to add 4 ounces of cream cheese. That's half a package. Now for perhaps the most unexpected ingredient in our soup, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of ranch seasoning. Have you ever used ranch seasoning in a savory dish? It may sound a little strange, but ranch seasoning mix is basically buttermilk, salt, garlic, onion, and some other spices. It just adds a great flavor that helps round out our soup. Nobody will know there's ranch seasoning in here. Next, we will add our rotisserie chicken. We love getting the rotisserie chickens from Costco. They are super flavorful and super versatile. There's so many ways to use it. I've just broken this down into some good sized chunks. You don't want to shred this up too much or else the chicken will kind of just dissolve into your soup. So big chunks, and I'm using about 3 cups. Next, we'll throw in about half a pound of fresh spinach. I love spinach, and it is a great way to get your kids to eat those leafy greens without force feeding them a salad. We also love putting spinach into our chocolate protein shakes. It's another easy way to get the kids to eat those greens and they just gobble it up. I'll leave a link to our protein shake recipe in the description in case you'd like to try that as well. All right, so we are almost there on our soup. I'm going to give this a stir to help incorporate that spinach, get it cooking. It wilts down very quickly once it hits that hot liquid. We're also going to make sure that we help that cream cheese dissolve. I like to kind of smush any chunks that I find against the side of the pot. And the chicken's already cooked, so we're just heating that through, giving those spinach leaves a couple minutes to cook real quick. This only takes a moment. Then for the last couple finishing touches, we are going to add 1 cup of a shredded cheese blend. We'll add back in that bacon that we cooked up. And then before we add any more seasonings, we're just gonna give this a taste. Depending on what type of chicken you used, or just your own personal preference, might depend on how much salt or pepper you want to add. So give this a taste first. Then season to your desire. I'm gonna add some sea salt, along with some black pepper, and I also like to add a dash of cayenne pepper, or a few dashes. This amount that I'm adding does not make this spicy at all. It just gives a nice, again, real rounded out flavor to the soup. But of course, if you wanted to make this a spicy soup, add more of that cayenne. And again, we taste, checking on those seasonings that we added, seeing if it's on point, and get yourself a good bite. You made this whole soup, you deserve to get the first taste. Mine's almost there. I'm gonna add just a little bit more salt and pepper. All right, there we are. That will be perfect. Soup's on, everybody. Dinner is ready. Our hearty, healthful, and heavenly tasting creamy chicken and green chili soup is ready for everyone to eat. I just love one-pot meals. There is no fuss, no side dishes to get ready. Everything you need for a complete meal is already in this one bowl. And most importantly, everyone will enjoy how delicious and comforting it is. Chicken noodle soup might be the classic comfort food, but this is a great twist, and I highly recommend you give it a try at your house too. If you do, don't forget to come back and let me know how you liked it. I love hearing when people try our recipes and it becomes one of their favorites as well. Until then, stay warm this fall, have an awesome day, and happy home cooking!